2, 1, boom. And we are live. I am joined by my friend, colleague, mentor, Yoda, anything. I don't know. There's so many different titles to give you. So all in all, you sound like Apollo Creed from Rocky when he has all those nicknames before you announce his name. Rashad Phillips, thank you so much for coming on again.
Oh, thanks for having me, Max. It's always a pleasure to be on your platform, man. I'm so proud of what you've been able to accomplish over time. You continue to set the bar for yourself, and you continue to exceed my own expectations of you, man. So I'm extremely proud of you, and I'm happy to be on your show once again.
I appreciate it. You were my very first guest on this podcast, and now this is episode 85, and here you are. And it's really weird. So you have this thing called you have this Yoda type of aura around you, and you've always had that, like hashtag Yoda, hashtag talk soon. And it's like in a weird way, you've created a real existing force in real life, because when I do something, I have you in the back of my head, like as if you're really Yoda. And I'm like, man, what would Yoda say? Like, is this good content? Like, is this something that's separating myself? Like, is this unique? So it's like you've actually created a real life Yoda. So I don't know how you did it, but you did it.
Oh, I have no idea.
Man, you've been doing a lot of things. Every time I'm talking to you, every time I'm texting you, it's like you're always working on something. You're always on to a next project. You really are playing chess. I'm not going to give away your secrets, but you are playing real life chess when everyone else is playing checkers. You have this new draft website that you created. And Rashad, it is the most in-depth, factual, most information I've ever seen when you look at a draft board. You have over 60, 80 players that you're breaking down. So it's not like you're just top 10. Hey, no, these guys are great. No, you're going guys people haven't even heard of and why they're great. You're breaking down their skill set. You're breaking down tape. You're giving me information in their bios. How did you do this? So can you just expand on that?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, Max. You know me, I love to watch film, and when you're scouting players, I just think over the years, just watching the landscape of the draft and scouting, I just think that it needed more detail in regards to kids. That I just felt that there was a lot of kids being shortchanged of the scouting process, just kind of looked over because they didn't go to this school or they didn't play for this coach. So what I wanted to do was give my followers more in detail scouting reports on kids from all over. And, it's turned out pretty well. The reception of everything I've gotten so far has been good. My website actually froze in the middle of the night yesterday because it had so much traffic. But I called my IT guys, got it all under control. So we're good, man, Max. But thanks for supporting me, though.
No, you've taught me so much. I can go on. I could do a whole podcast on how much you've taught me and helped me. So one thing I can do is just, like I said, I can sit here and talk about LeBron. I can sit here and talk about UFC. I can sit here and talk about basketball with you all day. And everyone's talking about something. No one's doing what you just did there. Like, you have created something that hasn't been done. Like, we can talk about all these different topics, and there's other people that are doing it. Now, you may think I bring a different perspective. I may have more knowledge here. But what you're doing is there's nothing close. There's nothing replicating it. There's nothing that's similar to it. You've created something that is now a trend. You've created a new empire. And it's an incredible thing to see, really.
I appreciate it. I've always wanted to basically create my own template.
Yeah.
And create my own lane. So right now there's no traffic because I've created the lane to drive in myself. And, over time, obviously you'll see, other things transpire. But for me, it's just more for the kids. I want to make sure that every kid that I can possibly see gets the fair opportunity and the fair shape that they were scouted properly from my website.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And that's not even to mention no agendas. So you and Kendrick Perkins have this show where, and I've watched all the episodes. It's like barbershop talk, but with people that have played the game and with people who know what they're like, all the ins and the outs, the personal experiences, watching the film, watching the games, the chemistry. So it's not just barber talk where you're getting the real conversations with no filter, but you're getting the real conversations from experts. which we don't see because on TV, obviously, you can't be 100% real.
Right.
So
Right.
for you guys to have no agendas, there's nobody telling you what to talk about. There's no type of ego. There's no type of person you're protecting. It's just flat out raw basketball conversation. Did you expect it to take off as quickly as it has? Because the whole world is gravitating towards that.
Yeah, it's me and Perk have been friends for a little while now, and we started to talk a few years ago in regards to just basketball players, and over time, we kind of came to the conclusion like, hey man, let's put a show together. Perk called me.
Right.
It's like, hey man, let's put a show together, me and you. And I was actually elated when he reached out to me and wanted to do it. And then we just kind of decided to go from there. And but the reception has been great thus far. Everybody has seen it in the basketball circles, especially.
Right.
So we just want to bring a organic, unapologetic, authentic side of the sports, because you're going to get what you're going to get off TV, and that's fine. But there's still another part of sports that's never touched, because there's too many agendas.
Yeah.
So we wanted to bring a show where we didn't have any. We didn't have people giving us scripts saying we gotta talk about this player. We gotta just try to cover basketball as a whole, what our eyes see, what our thoughts say, and go from there and allow our listeners to kind of just enjoy organic, no agenda type of basketball talk.
And it's unbelievably noticeable. Like I just remember like bus rides home from basketball games and those raw conversations you'll have because no one else is listening. That's what you guys are doing. So it's just like, man, like this is just real talk. Whether you agree or disagree with you or agree with Perkins, it's just like, man, I enjoy the conversation. So hats off to you once again. You're just doing the undoable. It's unbelievable.
I appreciate it, man. I mean, Perk is fantastic, man. Like what he brings to the table for me is Perk is one thing. He's extremely intelligent. He's knowledgeable. He speaks his mind, and those three qualities for me is what I kind of stand for as well. And Perk has great relationships. He has respect around the league. He's a two-time champion. And I just believe that Perk is the next up and coming TV superstar, and he has it. So. For me, I was honored that he reached out to me and wanted me to be his partner on this show. And again, on No Agendas, we just want to make sure we continue to educate, and we never want to get into the debates. We're not into the debate shows, even though there's times where we may not agree, but we don't want to create just two guys yelling at each other over basketball.
No, yeah, for sure. Now, you definitely have an eye for seeking talent, so I believe you when you say that about Perk. The one thing that I'll say lastly about No Agendas that stands out to me the most, it's not even the knowledge, it's not even the raw conversation, it's the ability to be fair. Like you may go into the conversation thinking one way, but you're willing to listen and change your answer based off new knowledge and information. That's really hard to see when you see two guys talking and you feel one way, they feel one way. Like I've seen you say something and Perk disagreed with you at first, but after you just laid out all your information, all the points, like, damn, you know what? That's why they call you Yoda. And that's an awesome thing to see. Really.
Yeah. Same thing with him. He's changed my mind a few times. And I believe when you're talking sports, you have to be transparent.
Yeah.
And you don't see a lot of transparency on the main media, but with us, we try to be transparent. And it's an educational type of platform, and we teach each other. There's things that he's taught me about certain players, and I'm like, wow. And there's things I've taught him about players. So that's the beauty of it, where you're seeing two intelligent guys exchange information, and over that, within that information, come to a conclusion.
Right. Yeah, it's an awesome thing to see. Now, I want to shift gears into this. Obviously, this pandemic is going on. It's prayers out to everybody that's not doing as well. Some have it better than others. Situationally, New York is obviously really rough. Those really high populated areas compared to people that are more spread out. So thoughts out to them. You still look sharp. That could be the most impressive thing about it all. It's been what, no haircuts, nothing, and you still look sharp. So
I haven't had a haircut in 6 weeks, man. My kids are like, Dad, are you gonna cut your hair?
what's going on?
I'm following the rules, man. Social distancing.
Yeah, yes, sir. So I want that transitions me into this. And now this is my analogy or comparison for you. So it's the coronavirus, the pandemic is going on, and you have this MJ documentary, The Last Dance. And I'm not going to sit here and talk to you who's better, LeBron Jordan. That's not what I'm going to do. What I noticed and what I thought about, I'm like, okay, so for one, we can all agree how impactful this documentary is. No disputing that. Michael Jordan considered the GOAT, greatest team ever, personalities. They're the Beatles of the NBA. But that's not why it's so damn impactful. To me, he is the invisible cure to the pandemic. And here's why. Emotionally, he is the invisible cure. Because what does he resemble is what we're all looking for. The pandemic, we're all trying to overcome. We're all trying to fall down, get back up. We're all trying to be tough, and we're all trying to accomplish something. And that's everything Michael Jordan does. And you see it in this documentary with the bad boys going to a franchise that doesn't really have a winning culture. They don't. And he changes that around. So when all of us are sitting on the couch at home during these tough times, we look on the news and there's more deaths, there's more illnesses. And then we're all trying to do what Michael Jordan's doing emotionally. We're all trying to overcome. We're all trying to come together and persevere. That's Michael Jordan. He is the emotional and invisible cure. And I think that is why the documentary is so impactful.
I like that. I mean, the way you broke that down, I was just kind of painting that picture in my head, and this is kind of the same thing when I look at Michael Jordan. I think he's bringing people together with this documentary. It's exciting, it's informative, and I think the main thing for me is I wanted kids that didn't grow up watching Michael Jordan. Youngsters. Your class, you guys didn't watch Michael, so to be able, it's like a basketball history class every Sunday.
Yeah,
and I think what people need to realize is just embrace it, accept it, and it shouldn't bring out the emotions of wanting to debate. But you know why? TV has conditioned us to want to debate all the time.
Yeah.
Instead of appreciating what we're watching, it turns into you have to argue who's this and who's that, and that's what I don't like about it. I just want to appreciate a great basketball player. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is the greatest basketball player ever.
Right.
That doesn't mean that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar isn't a great basketball player. Isaiah Thomas, Magic, LeBron,
right.
Kobe, Curry, Allen Iverson. The list goes on and on. Just respect greatness, because greatness comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors.
Right. And just for one, even if this wasn't during a pandemic, I'm like blown away. But the fact that it is, and I'm like the timing of it all, and it's just like everything that we're striving to be in society and in the world, and to be healthier, to be cleaner, to wash your hands more, to improve. I'm like, that's everything Michael Jordan resembles in this documentary. He is like the emotional cure. And it's just been an amazing thing to see on, not, like I said, not even on the basketball world, but the world in general. That's not even a fan of basketball. I feel like it's paying attention to this. So I want to transition into this. So most people are definitely aware of your basketball abilities. Now, you've become a huge media personality now. So I know every once in a while you have to remind people, hey, I'm a bucket first. And I've seen a lot of your highlights, a lot of your buckets, a lot of your games. To you, what is your Jordan moment? Like a moment where everyone's counting you out. Yeah, they're not supposed to win. Yeah, Rashad's not this. Rashad's too small here. Rashad can't finish amongst the trees. And you did that. You overcame something. It could be a quarter. It could be a game. Could be a month. What's your Jordan moment?
I think my Jordan moment maybe was my 4-year career in college.
Really?
My entire 4-year career, basically going into college, I was told that I wouldn't last in Division I. I was just told that I was too small. So going into college, I had all these doubters. He's not going to be able to hold his own at the level. He's too small. He's not strong enough. He's not fast enough. He's not quick enough. So to finish my college career, the all-time leading scorer, the most MVPs in the league, multiple NCAA wins, a Naismith Award. I mean, the list goes on and on. To accomplish that, when I started with this script that they gave me of failure, they just
Right.
gave me this script like, you're going to fail. Here's your script.
Right.
Now you're going to fail. And for me to write my own story in that 4-year span was kind of my Michael Jordan moment. Now, within that 4-year career, there was games where I had times where I had Mamba mentality and
Right.
went into my Jordan. But for me, just a 4-year career to be able to just consistently play at a high level
Right.
for years. I don't think people understand. And again, when I scout players, I see seniors like a Cassius Winston that can put together 4 years of consistent production. You have to honor that. And
Right.
I started to see the next level, the NBA turn a cheek to seniors instead of rewarding a Miles Powell at Seton Hall or a Cassius
Right.
Winston that was able to put 4 years of productivity together, because
Right.
it shows that Mamba mentality, that Jordan type of moment for me.
Yeah, to stay persistent, to stay working, to keep improving. I feel like most, and now this is no slight or disrespect, but I would say it's easy to spot the 1-year guy who's crazy talented. That's an easy pick. That's easy. But to spot someone that has the intangibles, the Mamba mentality, 4 years of work, I feel like that's harder to spot, to see if that's transferable. And that's when guys like you come in and like, hey, yeah, that's why this guy is going to work. And honestly, Rashad, I've known you. I haven't known you my whole life, but I've known you long enough to see even your rise in the media world. I remember you would say things and people would laugh at you and people would joke and Trae Young, UFO, what are you talking about? This is like, what are you doing? And then Ja Morant, really, Ja? And then it's like, oh, wow, Trae Young is Trae Young. And it's like, oh my God, Ja Morant's amazing, rookie of the year. And I feel like you've taken your Jordan moment on the court and you've now put it towards the media world. So now people aren't laughing and joking anymore. Now people are paying to see your breakdowns. That's an incredible thing to see, really.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So again, I want to touch on your basketball career because I think we have time now as a society to kind of reflect on certain things, be grateful for certain things, and not take everything for granted. To you, when you look back at your memory book, your highlights, your games, and you're telling your kids or you're telling relatives or friends, what's your favorite hooping memory? It could be practice, it could be in the gym, it could be pickup, it could be obviously in a game. Do you have one memory that stands out to you?
I think for me, my senior year in high school, my last high school game, we played Detroit Persian, who was, I think they were number 6 in the country.
Okay.
My parents graduated from Detroit Persian. My younger brother graduated from Detroit Persian. And I was the only one. I was the black sheep of the family. I was the only one to go to a different school. So long story short, that high school told me I was too small to play there.
Okay.
So my senior year, I got a chance to play against them and all the friends that I grew up in. It was standing room only. And I had like 43 points, 11 assists, and I fouled out 4 people. And that was kind of a moment for me because I was told I was so small I wouldn't amount to anything. So it's just, I've been given the same script, Max, for my entire career, not just a basketball player, but when I started the media world, I was, people were trying to make me a laughing stock when I first started. And, and now today I'm humbled to sit here in front of you today and say that, I've kind of climbed up the mountain a little bit. I got a long way to go from my personal dreams, but I just want to tell people out there that's watching it that you can write your own story. Don't allow people to write your script for you, because we live in a society where everything's on a template. How you should live is on a template.
Right.
How you should eat is on a template. How you should walk is on a template.
Yeah.
But you need to customize what you
For,
want.
yeah.
Write your own story. And I sit here in front of you today as a guy that has written his own story, and I'm gonna continue to do that.
I'm about to say you still have a lot more to write. I can't wait to see it. Now, we've covered Magic games together. I've talked to you. I've picked your brain. I kind of have an idea on what you look for in a player. I kind of know what you like and what you lean
Yeah.
towards. So when I look at this list, and everyone loves to like break down young talent, what's the future of the league? Who's the
Yeah.
face? So I made a list, and I'm like, okay, just a general list of the best young players. Now I have like a business type of mentality where I like to look at things like a business. So like investing stock, like who's somebody. It's easy to invest stock in LeBron and KD. They
Yeah.
all we know
Yeah.
they're great.
Yeah.
We know they're great. So who like maybe someone you invest your stock that is about to be great, borderline. So that's how I look at things. So I made a list, and I'm like Trae Young, Zion Williamson, Luka Doncic, John Morant, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker. You got Bam Bam now, who you like, Jokic, Cat, Giannis, Simmons, Ingram. We have so many young and talented players now. It's like that new wave is starting to kick in. If I were to tell you, Rashad, you have to invest your stock in one person to win the most championships, not necessarily the best player, the best career. Who has the most championships when it's all said and done out of those young players? Now, that's obviously an extremely hard thing to predict because situationally, trades, teams, so it's really hard. But you're someone who foresees the future. You have the force. If I had to tell you right now, who would you invest stock in for championships going forward? Who has the most?
Probably, I would say Ja Morant.
Ja Morant, really? Now, why Ja?
I just think Ja has all the tools
Okay.
to win a championship, to lead a championship team, and this is why I say that. You look at his rookie year, Memphis was in the 8th spot before we had to stop the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a winner in the NBA. He's been a winner in college. He was a winner in high school. Like Ja Morant just knows how to win.
Right.
And he's proven that since the first day he stepped foot in the NBA. So I believe that Ja Morant is the guy that can end up with more rings out of that list. I do.
Wow. I'm going to say Trae because of the magnetism that you brought to the attention that you brought to me with the magnetism. I think a lot of people are going to want to play with him. Now, when people listen to this podcast, people are going to say, Luka's the best, Giannis is the best. And that doesn't necessarily mean you win championships being the best.
Right. That doesn't mean that. Yeah.
The last rebuttal I want to have for you, and I want to see what you say, because I know people on Twitter, this is the first thing they're going to say, is it's hard to be the leading force of a team when you're the point guard. We've seen Isaiah Thomas do it. We've seen Steph Curry do it. It's kind of hard to replicate that. Usually it's a shooting guard or a small forward. Right. Do you think, how would you respond to that type of rebuttal as far as a point guard can't be the main focus of a championship team?
I think that you can. It just takes a certain level of skill and a certain level of know-how to be that. And like I said before, I believe Ja Morant
has that.
He has all the qualities
to
break that. And I do think Trae Young as well. Your question was who was going to have the most rings.
Right.
So I believe Trae Young is going to lead Atlanta to an NBA championship as well.
Yeah.
But I think Ja Morant will maybe win more. Even if Ja wins 2 and Trae wins 1, or Ja wins 4, Trae wins 2.
Right.
I think Ja has all the qualities to diffuse the point guard can't win an NBA championship. I believe Ja and Trae are the two guys that possess the intangibles to win, and also the skill level to be able to win 4 times in June with their back to the wall.
And Ja has that dog mentality. Like he doesn't fear anything.
He's fearless.
The last thing I want to touch on, Rashad Phillips joining me. Thank you again very much. I appreciate your time. We got Talk Soon right there looking fresh. Every time you look down, it's like, damn, Talk Soon. So I'm watching this documentary, and I'm not going to sit here and say LeBron, Jordan, this, that. But I do have a question for you. And I spoke to Rob Parker today about it. And he took the side I thought he was going to say. And I'm like, I think Rashad's probably going to agree with you. Now, I'm not being the millennial or the controversial person by saying this. That's not my intention. I'm just looking at it how you broke down LeBron and Steph Curry to me one time. I remember I'm like, what? You think Steph Curry's better? And you're like, let's look at a basketball sheet. Passing, you're like, Steph Curry. Shooting, Steph Curry. Handles, Steph Curry. Free throw shooting, Steph Curry. And I'm like, okay, when you look at it like that, it's kind of hard to argue. I did it with Dennis Rodman and Draymond Green, right?
Okay.
Because I'm seeing the comparisons, and some people think Draymond Green is the closest thing to Dennis Rodman in this league because he's tough, speaks his mind on a championship team, obviously, the dynasty of the Warriors. And everyone's like, it's not even close. Dennis Rodman, Dennis Rodman. Draymond Green wishes he was Dennis Rodman. So I'm like, actually, I think it's a lot closer than people think. And this is why I say that. When I go off the basketball list, just how you represented me,
Yeah.
I'm like, he's a better ball handler.
Yep.
He's a better passer.
Yeah.
I think he's a better shooter. He's a better free throw shooter. He beats him in all those statistical. And I'm not trying to be that stat guy, but he has a higher free throw percentage. He has a higher 3-point percentage. He actually, in a career, which is not over though, averages more career blocks, averages more career steals, averages more career assists, averages career more points. And he's had 4 seasons where he scores 10 or more points. Right? Dennis Rodman is not a scorer, but he's only had 1 season where he's done that. Now, don't get me wrong. Defensively, you can say Rodman, but it's not like Draymond doesn't play defense. He's a defensive player of the year. So when I look at it through the template that you've given me, I can say Draymond is the more skilled basketball player than Dennis Rodman. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. No. I can't argue that because that template there, that basketball template,
right?
Draymond checks the boxes there.
And it's so. I know, obviously, his legacy's not done, and Dennis Rodman has 5 rings. And one thing Rob Parker said, which was a great point, was Dennis Rodman won outside of Chicago also. We've never seen Draymond win outside of Golden State. And I'm like, okay, that's fair, because people question what Draymond will do if he wasn't with the Warriors. But I think when it's all said and done, I think we're going to look at their legacies, and I think you can make the argument Draymond Green was a better player. And I'm not trying to come off controversial, but
no, you will be able to make the argument, but you won't win the argument.
No.
Because after Draymond may be a better basketball player, like check to check.
Right.
But then who passes the eye test? Because also who passes the eye test. So when you watch film on Dennis Rodman and then you watch film on Draymond Green, you're going to see like one has maybe a more of a significant impact than the other. You see what I'm saying? So that plays into it. But I mean, Draymond Green has been. I think Draymond doesn't get the credit that he deserves because the media likes to paint him as, a hothead.
Right.
The media can put a tag on you, and they'll keep that narrative on you, and it takes away from your importance on the court.
Right.
But for me, I see through all the smoke and see Draymond as a very intelligent guy. He's a fantastic leader.
Right.
He's a terrific teammate, and he's a champion. Those are things that you can't take away from him.
Right. Well, Rashad, I should have known it. You would have. You broke it down. So he could be the more skilled player, but he probably won't go down as the better basketball player when it's all said and done.
Correct.
All right. That's fair enough. I'll take that. Rob was like, no way. He's like, Dennis Rodman. I'm like, okay. So fair enough. That's a good breakdown. Rashad, I appreciate your time. I know 30 minutes of your time. I'm grateful for it. You're a busy dude. We're going to continue to break records, break barriers. I know as soon as we get off the phone, so I appreciate it. Where can people find you? Twitter, Instagram, your website, all that good stuff. Where can they find you?
The website is sportstalk2319.com. And you can find me on Twitter, RP3Natural, and on Instagram, Rashad Phillips, 2319.
There you go. I appreciate it, my man. It's always a pleasure. So thank you.
Talk soon.